So if we're starting off a week here, what's the first thing that you need to do? We're starting off brand new. What's the first thing we need to do?
Find out. I think we should find out our peaks and ADRs.
Right? You need to find out the peaks, ADRs. Basically, you need to find out what is going to be your essentially your directional bias, right? So we need to find out what is the directional bias on this pair. So where do we start from that? And let's make this, where is our closest peak? Would it be here, down here, up here? Which one?
It's gonna be that. It's gonna be that previous high.
The
I
previous
believe.
high right here, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's the closest peak that we have here. If we go back, this is averaging what, 150 pips. We're looking somewhere in the range of 450, give or take. All right, so this is 421, and back here was averaging, yeah, I can already tell you what this is going to, so this is going to be a peak formation low. This one up here is going to be a peak formation high. Now this from here to here is 307 pips. It's averaging, I would say, maybe in the 135s because we have 132, 140, and 143. So we'll just say 135. That's 2.2. That's not enough. So this would be a reset here. And so now if we measure from here to here, it's 310. Divided, this range here is actually more. I would say it's at least in the 147 range, give or take, right? So this is only two times ADR. So that's not even our peak. Our closest peak is right here, this reset. Does that make sense to everybody?
I got it now.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if that's the case and we're coming off a reset still, then what are we looking for? What kind of setups are we looking for?
Well, we looking for buys away from that peak.
We're looking for buys away from the peak. Exactly. We're looking for buy setups only that are going away from that peak formation. And so if we're, let's say, doing 145, we're trying to get into the range of like 400 and some odd pips. So we're looking, to get pretty up here still. So let's just say somewhere in this range up here. That's where our completed cycle is, somewhere in that particular, range, let's say. Somewhere in that range. It could be a little bit below, it could be a little bit above it. But somewhere in that range up there, 82, 500 or so is going to be where we should start to look for, let's say, like a peak formation or whatnots to form. Okay, so far, does everything make sense?
It is to me.
Okay, all right, cool. So now we get to this day here, start of the week. Okay, all right, based on what you have there, what is the only possible solution, or what trade setups would you need if we're looking for buy setups based on what you have on your chart?
I want to say a type 4 or a type 3.
Right. So we're looking for buy setups only, right? We're already above the range. So we only could use either a type 4 or a type 3, one of those two, right? So that's essentially what we would want to see?
I'm about to wait for a close above the 13.
Close above the 13. Okay.
Yeah,
Anybody
we're about.
else? Anybody else have any different thoughts about this? Or is this enough for you to get into a trade on?
I mean, I'm aggressive, so I mean, in the case, probably, but that's just me.
How about now?
No, I definitely will.
Yeah, I would.
I definitely will. That's the second entry for me.
So you have two different scenarios in the sense of the one scenario is you can take it as a railroad track, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a 2-to-1, you're basically just trying to get back up to the highs. Okay. Depending on where you put your stop loss at, let's say if you use a 15 pip stop loss, right, you'd be looking at the upper highs of this. Obviously, there's a couple things that you have in your favor in the sense of you have all of the EMAs that are sitting here that are basically acting as a roadblock, right, to price action going lower. You have the directional bias in your favor, which is great. And then you have obviously a huge move that happened early on, right, starting from Asia. And then you get basically one pullback. And then hopefully we're seeing if this goes higher. Okay. So if you get into it after the railroad track, you don't have a pullback, obviously. You can use a 10 pip stop loss. It honestly, it's going to depend on what your spread is from your broker. So if your spread is high from your broker, then you want to give it more room. If it's smaller, then you can give it less room. It's just completely up to depending on what broker you use. But ultimately, you just want to you can get a 2-to-1 just to go up to the highs. That's one. The other one is if you go off of this one here, okay, for me, this one seems a little bit more higher because this candle obviously is bigger. So I would like the next candle to provide a pullback. If it can provide a pullback, I don't know, let's say half the candle, you kind of basically get the same exact setup as before. And the same thing, a 2-to-1 basically goes up to those highs. Okay. But ultimately, it's going to boil down to whether or not you actually get a pullback on that next candle. So you do get a pullback on the next candle, right? So you would buy on the pullback of that candle. Okay. Also, keep in mind as well that towards this end as well as you're getting towards the edge of the box as well. So, all right. So this candle here took you out already. Either one, it didn't matter, right? So you get out of the trade there at the end here, at the very top of this. So now you're into the US session. Now, if you're trading the US session and you walk into this situation here, what's the only scenario that you would have for a trade setup?
Continue.
What would you need for a continuation?
Probably a small pullback.
Pull back to the 50.
Well, you need a big pullback, right? You would need a big pullback down here. Do you get what I'm saying? So it'd be something like that. For me, if I'm walking into this day here in the US session, the good thing about the US session is that for me, depending on where price is, I could trade both directions. You could trade either buys or sells. Okay. So being that price is all the way up here near the high, right? I'm going to assume that this is the high of the day based on where I'm walking into this at. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I'm walking into this day here, and obviously we're pretty much at the high of the day. Would you agree? Depending on how we get a reaction up here, we could see this as, or I could see this as a multi-session. Okay. Let's see a couple more candles first. So you see what I mean? How this went up, gave you the wick there, came back down again. Now, if this is going to be a continuation trade, price needs to hold this area here. Okay. If it doesn't hold this area, it's not going to be a continuation trade. So that's not a continuation trade. It would have been a multi-session. You see that? So depending on what time you come in, for me, if I come in this early and this is what I see, my mind automatically thinks multi-session. If I were to came in here, could be thinking something else. You see that? You see the difference that basically like what 45-minute makes? All right, so again, still looking for buys. Based on what you see right now, what are your options? Let me know in the chat. What are your options? Or speak. I don't care. What are your options?
I'm either expecting a trade out of the edge or a type 2 later in the day.
Right. So right now, I'd say the same thing. I'd say either trade out of the edge, or a type 2. You're right. It looks like it's not wanting to go any further down, right? It's wanting to stay in this area at the bottom. So if it's a trade out of the edge, what is it that you want to see? Because if it's a trade out of the edge, I mean, you'd basically, to me, this would be the first leg here, and this would be creating the second leg.
At this point, just give me a green candle and a 5 or 13 cross. And that's not what happened.
What do you think about that, though? Just because it doesn't happen when you want it to happen doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
I mean, I would have came back and probably just waited for a pullback.
Because you have to think
that candle right there was
here,
disgusting.
because this box here this is only 315, 330. Do you get what I'm saying? Why would this candle I think this is what you guys got to think about. If this is going to be a trade out of the edge, right? What do you have? What are the things that are going in your favor? Start listing the things that are in your favor.
The EMAs, the candle patterns.
So I'm talking about like let's say a form of like confirmations, right? What confirmations do you have?
Okay, so I got a little bit of divergence. First leg coming out of Asia. Second leg in London.
Right, you got divergence. You have the first leg. Potentially, this right here could be the second leg.
Yeah.
You have five or more candles, right, between the first and second leg. The timing of it is good also because this candle is just a 330 candle, so that's good. You have directional bias, right? You have the TDI also doing the same thing. You can use the EMAs as take profits, right? So you got a lot of stuff here, a lot of stuff. So what would this look like? You know, is that a trade that's feasible just by looking at that? 27 pips. You're gonna have to go to at least, you know, the 800 to make this work. Or if you have a pullback, then makes it more reasonable, doesn't it? So difference on a pullback, you know, makes this trade way better, you know, than without a pullback. So you do get a pullback on that candle there. So the trade looks like would basically look like something like this. A 2-to-1 to the 800. Now, how many of you think about this? This is where the psychology part comes into play. How many of you would have gotten out of the trade in this box?
I ain't even gonna lie. I would have and been mad.
Me too.
I think you already know what this one would have been. What would the trade been here? Kind of went too fast, but
Say it's like 3.
right, it's a type 3, right? Yeah, railroad track. I mean, this is super early, but and it's penning to the 800. There's a couple things that I don't like about it. The fact that it's not at the 50 on the TDI. It's kind of like a big turn off for me, but I mean, the trade is there. I mean, that's 40. So it went up to damn near 50 pips almost. All right, so if you're entering the US session, and this is what you're seeing, what are you thinking about? If you walk into the US session, this is what you see. Nobody knows.
I mean, I wouldn't do anything with it. If I was, I'm waiting for a pullback to the 50 because that's my favorite EMA personally.
Okay. Well, so here's what I'm seeing on this. Kind of the same similar as the other one where you have divergence here on the TDI. This could very well be like a multi-session, setup as well. You can use the EMAs as take profit also, to come down here whatnot. The question is, where's the entry? I don't have an entry yet. Yeah, I wouldn't have an entry yet. So I think that's probably going to be an entry right here. This is, you can think of this as a 1, a 2, and this, could be the only entry you would probably have is a railroad track that doesn't want to go up and touch these higher highs again. So the question is, though, does it make sense? Does the entry make sense? Can you get a 2-to-1 here? Even if you go up to the highs, right, all the way up here above the wick, even doing that on a railroad track without a pullback, you can get over 2-to-1 by doing that. So a 2-to-1 would be like, here. So would that be a trade anybody here would see? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This candle would have kept you into the trade. 6, so you're still in some profit. And shit, it ended up going all the way down. So it looks like the trade was right. And they just went back up to grab another more orders before dropping it. I am assuming that this right here is news right here because it's 2 o'clock. So I'm just going to assume that that's what that is. All right, so far, look what's happened so far. So what's happened? What has happened? We've moved down all the way to where?
We back down closer towards our reset, where our reset formed, right?
Right.
And I believe we got a new peak now. If the ADR is in tune with
Right.
it.
So that means that this right here would be what?
It should be our new peak formation high.
Right. But what does that make this?
That make that
Failed
a peak.
reset.
Right.
Failed reset. Okay.
Right. And so we're averaging 140. So it's about 420 that we're looking for. 420 is basically where this peak formation low is. Do you see that? So everybody sees that, yes? So what should we be looking for?
Sells away from the peak.
Sells away from the peak. This is, I think, Thursday now. Anybody see anything? Does anybody see anything at all? There's nothing here. Nothing. 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 This is Friday. So last day, last day of the week. All right, what's our best option for looking for sells? What's the only option if we look for sells? If we're looking for sells,
I don't know.
the only option here, if we're looking for sells, where price action is, would be a type 3. It's getting stuck every time it hits the middle of the range. So like right here, it's hit it
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 times in a row.
So type 3 can just sit there at the middle of the range and reject.
It's just rejecting, 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 rejecting. That's all it's doing.
So multiple rejections is still considered a type 3.
Yes. Yes.
Copy.
The only thing that I don't like about this one is that the 50 is below, not on top. That's it.
That's my main problem with that.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I don't like about it. I mean, does the risk to reward ratio is, I think the risk to reward ratio would be fine with the pullback. If you get a pullback half the candle, let's say, I mean, that would be, you know, you'd be doing something like that. Right? That would be something doable. But it would only work if you get a pullback. So like that. And then there you go. And I mean, that goes really big. That's like a 90 pip move, almost 100. So in 1 week, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 trades in 1 week. Any questions? Alrighty. So I will then see you guys next week.